What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Serie A Week 22 predictions. I want to say a massive shout out to all of you for the support on the videos. I did not expect the Serie A, La Liga and Bundesliga videos all to be getting, thousands of views on the channel. I thought maybe they'd get just like a few hundred because it's not what I usually upload. It's not what I've posted over the years, but the support has been amazing. So we are back for more Serie A this game week. Flashing up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon and have been since we started it. If you want to get a shout out in every single video and get access to exclusive members tips and accumulators, then you can click the top link in the description. As well as that, you can also message me over there if you want to do that. So thank you so much, of course, to everyone who's supported the Patreon, supports the channel, drops likes, subscribes. It makes these videos possible. And like I said, the support on these prediction videos has been insane. Hence why we are back for week 22. Kicking it off, we have Torino up against Cagliari. One of my favorite tips last week, we tipped Cagliari and both teams to score at whereabouts was it? It was, yeah, we tipped Cagliari and both teams to score. The odds were like 4 and they won 4-1. My score prediction was actually 2-1, but they smashed it. Torino against Cagliari in the previous game week. If we do quickly look at Torino, if I can just find them on my screen. I said they'd lose 1-0 to Fiorentina. They managed to snatch a 1-1 draw, so pretty decent result as far as I'm concerned. But with this one, I'm struggling to pick a winner. I think if it was at home for Cagliari, maybe I'd go for them, but 4 draws in a row. I'm going to go for it again. 1-1. And the tip is both teams to score at 1.95. Again, it's one of those both teams to score tips that are around evens that I really like the look of. So I think it's going to happen here. I think we can see both teams score. Speaking of which, we have Como up against Atalanta. Atalanta lost out to Napoli in the last game week. I did tip both teams to score for that one, and Como beat Udinese 4-1. I tipped both teams to score for that one. Brilliant result for Como there. I believe they signed Dele Alli, didn't they, in the transfer window, which is an interesting signing, to say the least. I think this is going to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. I'm going to go Como 2, Atalanta 3. Bouncing back, they've sort of dropped off in the league a little bit, as you can see here. The loss to Napoli, 3 draws in a row, but tough opposition. You go back, you've got Empoli, Cagliari, AC Milan even with wins. I think Atalanta can bounce back here, and I've actually pressed the button on Atalanta and both teams to score at 3.75 just because I think it's very likely that Como do score. I mean, if we look at here, they scored against Milan, they scored against Lazio, they scored obviously against Lecce. Few people score against Inter Milan, but they scored against Roma and they scored against Venezia, so they tend to score goals. So I think they will trouble Atalanta in periods in this game, but ultimately the quality will shine through Atalanta and both teams to score. Now after this, we have top of the league Napoli against unbeaten Juventus down in 5th place, and I think this is going to be another draw for Juve. Juve obviously have Club Brugge in the Champions League. I could see them dropping points against Bruges. I've predicted a 1-0 win, but I could definitely see it being a 1-1 or something like that because Bruges are good. But I think Juventus, who knows, they could go unbeaten all year. They probably think right now, look, we can't win the league, right? We're too far behind Napoli and Inter, but we can go unbeaten. And it would be really weird to go unbeaten and not win the league. But hey, I think it could happen with the amount of draws they're getting. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And the tip is going to be draw at odds of 3. They managed to beat AC Milan, which was a brilliant result. Napoli, 6 wins in a row, beating Atalanta there. But something about Juventus, tricky to beat. No one's done it in the league. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. After this, we have Empoli up against Bologna. Empoli down in 15th. Bologna up here in 7th. And they are 1 win away from Juventus, essentially. Only 4 points behind them. I think they do get the win here. I think it's low scoring. I mean, there's been some surprising results for Empoli. They scored against Inter, which was a surprise. And they lost to Lecce, which again was a surprise. I'm going to say that Bologna win this one 1-0. Bologna play Dortmund in the Champions League. I think there's a chance for them to get something from that game. But I think they win this one 1-0. And the tip is going to be under 2.5 goals at 1.61. I think this, I mean, this is Inter Milan, but I think this was a shock game. I thought Empoli could win that one 1-0, and they conceded 3 to Lecce. So Bologna, you could look at Bologna to win outright at 2.04. The odds are very, very good, but just in case it's an absolute stinker of a game, I've gone for under 2.5 goals. After this, we travel to the San Siro for AC Milan up against Parma. I think Milan win this one. I think they win it quite comfortably, and I think both teams score, so I'm not going to delay on this one too much. 3-1 to AC Milan, and instead of going for 1.3 odds for Milan to win, I'm going for AC Milan and both teams to score at 2.6. I definitely think Parma can get a goal, but I think AC Milan will have enough to win. I think AC Milan and both teams to score is one of my favourite tips for this game week, considering the odds, the value, and the difference it makes to go from just the win to both teams to score as well. After this is Udinese up against Roma. Now, I thought about doing a draw here. Roma have a good recent record against Udinese. Udinese are winless in 4. Roma are unbeaten in their last 5. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Roma win, but the tip, instead of Roma to win at 2.2, I've gone for Roma double chance and both teams to score at 2.3. So to get a 1-1 draw or a 2-2 draw on your side, or a 3-3 or 4-4, etc., rather than the outright win, I think is pretty good, because I could see this being a score draw as well. So Roma double chance and both teams to score at 2.3. I really like that one. You could go Roma to win if you wanted, though. After this, it is Lecce up against Inter Milan. Inter Milan 3 points off the top, but with this game in hand, I think they win here. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Inter Milan. And I love the tip of Inter -1 handicap at 1.95. I think they win this one quite convincingly. You could look at Inter Milan win to 0, but either way, go with Inter. A high-scoring win, 3-0. After this, we have Lazio up against Fiorentina. I mean, Fiorentina winless in 6. I'm going to predict a draw, though. This is a little bit of a gut feeling. I mean, Fiorentina winless in 6 and still in 6th. Lazio in 4th. I can see why the odds are the way they are, the favourites, but I'm going to go for a bit of a shock 2-2 draw. The tip, though, is going to be both teams to score at 1.75. I do think it's more likely both teams score than Lazio winning. I would shade Lazio in a way if you could. You could do Lazio double chance and both teams to score. That would get you above evens as well. But I'm just going both teams to score at 1.75. After this, it's Venezia up against Verona. Now, Verona have a pretty decent recent record against Venezia, but given that both teams, they're in poor form, I'm just going to shade it to the home team. A bit of a gut feeling. I'm going to say 2-1 to Venezia. They finally get a win, and I'm going to say Venezia draw no bet at 1.57. This is a bit of a stinker of a game. I would ignore it. But a brilliant 3-point assist would be to propel them towards safety in Serie A. I think, like I said, I think Empoli, Parma, Lecce, and in this case Verona will all lose. So a win here for Venezia would be absolutely massive in pushing them to safety, because they're really not that far. If they win this game, they're 4 points behind Torino. I think it's all to play for in the Serie A. So I'm going to say that Venezia do get a much needed win. If you can't beat Verona at home, they're going down, basically. So I'm going to say that they get it 2-1. The final game is Genoa up against Monza. This is it's another tough one to predict. Monza right at the bottom. Genoa in 12th. I can see why they're favourites, but this is just a bit of a gut feeling. I'm going for Monza to actually snatch a draw in this one. 1-1. And the tip is going to be both teams to score, because I like the odds. The odds are 2. And I just think that's pretty good for what it is. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw there and both teams to score. So here are my picks for this week in the Serie A. Quite a lot of teams scoring. I've only gone for Empoli and Lecce to draw a blank. It's rare that I would say this many teams would score in the Serie A, but I do think, I mean, there's a lot of ones there. I don't think there'll be many multi-scorers, but still, I think it's going to be a really interesting week. A lot of ramifications for relegation, for top 4, that sort of thing, but I think there's a lot of games, I think there's a lot of value in here. AC Milan, Roma, a little double there I really like the look of, and Inter Milan, of course, to win at -1 I think is really good. Nevertheless, that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. There's loads coming, as you guys know. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.